Okay, can you compare Asia with Europe? Like you mentioned, there is much more of an integrated strategy, at least in the EU. You can use the same QR codes. But of course, in Asia, there's a bigger need to fly, right? You in EU, you can go to places in many different ways. How is that development going when it comes to the catch up of Asian region vis-a-vis Europe or even other places like the United States?
Asia is running behind, and that's just a result of that zero COVID policy and of, as you say, the not integrated strategy that we see. But there are changes coming. So Singapore has recently opened up um, with the VTLs, the vaccinated travel lanes. I think they've got 33 countries on that now, including a number of Asian countries. So I think that is going to stimulate traffic within Asia as well, as long as we take the right measures, as long as we make sure that we don't spread the virus unnecessarily.
Mhm.
That surely has to be the way forward. And I expect that other countries are going to open up as well. Australia has announced some opening up measures. New Zealand, which has been very isolated until now, is thinking about opening up again. So it is going to happen at some point. But I think what the zero COVID policy countries did is to make sure that our health systems weren't overwhelmed
Mhm.
by COVID spread through travel.
Are you seeing different trends now in the ways that people travel? Are there specific destinations that more people are interested in going to? Best practices, maybe, of countries that have learned to reopen tourism safely?
Yes, absolutely. Obviously, domestic traffic has been doing a lot better than international. So you see that large countries with domestic tourist markets have seen those boom. Jeju in South Korea, the Black Sea in Russia, Florida in the US. They've all been thriving as well. Have all been thriving. Um, I mentioned the EU before. They have a system whereby the COVID QR codes are accepted across all countries, and that makes travel a lot easier. You don't need a test anymore. You don't need to quarantine. You just show your pass on your phone. All countries accept your pass. So travel to Southern Europe, the Mediterranean countries has been improving as well. So that's what we've been seeing. International traffic is going to take a little bit longer, international beyond EU borders.
In terms of different regions and different COVID containment strategies, how does that impact the airline industry in different parts of the world? You did mention that China domestically has been thriving. So does this mean that and they've been touting that their zero COVID strategy is now effective, given all of these risks that we are seeing? So how does that link to living with the virus versus zero COVID strategy? How does that impact the aviation industry?
Clearly, yes. The Chinese domestic traffic has been very good. Chinese international has been virtually zero, and we live in an interconnected world. And international travel is very important, not just for business and for trade, but also, as you mentioned, for visiting our friends as we're scrambling to see them, and for tourism, which is a very large, globally very large sector. So if you have a strategy in, for example, in the EU, where they have coordinated approach to how they treat vaccination certificates, they allow passengers to travel across the continent, and you see the traffic is really sharply increasing. In other places, Australia, New Zealand, China, Hong Kong, where there is much more of a zero COVID policy, that is a lot harder. And that, to me, is not really a sustainable solution. At some point, we've got to start to, as you say, start to live with the virus so we can open up borders again with of course, all the hygiene restrictions that are necessary to make sure that we don't make any unnecessary risks. But we need to get back to be able to travel internationally again.